Hi everyone on my YouTube channel and my subscribers and all those out there in the world that choose to watch me. In my last video I spoke about a little bit of shadow work. I touched on it. I do want to speak about fear and how shadow work does help people who are in fear. Now, you say fear to most people, you think that fear is something you're afraid of, but consciously it may be something you know you're afraid of, but a lot of our emotional reactions that we are triggered by come from the fear points that are deep within us that have put us in a fear state. There are two things. One is love, which is all the good things in the world, all the good emotions, gratitude, love, kindness, all of that is under the love umbrella. And the other one is fear. And what is under the fear umbrella isn't just fear. It's about it involves all of anxiety, fear of judgment, fear of losing your job, fear of money issues, fear of not being loved, fear of not being accepted. So those are all under the category of fear. And those are things that people react against or have a lot of emotions around. And when these things come up, these emotions with certain things that they call trigger you, you need to look at what it is that is triggering you. What is it that you're afraid of? You need to think about what deep down inside what you're actually afraid of. Down the root cause, people aren't necessarily aware of what they're afraid of, and causing the triggering reaction to react to different things in certain negative emotional ways, bringing out a lot of anger. Anger is a big one because of why are they angry? Like, to dig deep into why they react the way they do, why they are negative towards other people, why certain things other people say will cause them to have a negative reaction towards them or say bad things, or just be fearful, like people who feel rejected, people who feel like they're not accepted. That's a fear of judgment. They're not really, the people are fearing judgment of other people, feeling that they're not living up to society's standards or rules that they should, like everyone says they should. But seriously, everybody is completely different in the world. Everybody has their own thoughts, their own ideas, and their own likes and dislikes. So in order to get into a state of fear through feeling that you're being judged needs to be released, because you don't really are judged, because some people judge people, but it doesn't really matter. Does it matter if somebody has their own opinion of what you do or what you say? As long as you are not mean towards people, as long as you're not, if you're treating them kindly and you're coming from a loving state of gratitude and love and kindness, then if people judge you, then that is their problem. You shouldn't be afraid of what they think of you. Be yourself. Be the best version of you that you can be, and don't fall into all of society's judgmental paradigms that would put you into a fear state of fear of judgment, which is a big one. And that was a big one for me. There's also fear of like anger towards situations that you can't control, situations that you can't control, people's decisions that they make in their life, people close to you, and friends, family, they make decisions, are independent beings, they are able to make their own decisions, and the decisions they make in their life are the ones that they must live with and they must deal with themselves. You can guide people, you can give suggestions, but you cannot ultimately make decisions for people. And that puts a lot of people in a fear state of thinking that they should be able to control other people, which is sort of a fear state of, it puts you in that angry emotional issue with things aren't just the way that you want them to be or the way that you would do them. But you need to accept that other people do things in other ways, the way they think that they should. In fact, everybody in the world sees everything in the world in a completely different way. It's called perspective. Everybody is a different personality. Everybody is a different person. Everybody likes and dislikes different things. And everybody sees something in a completely different perspective than other people. And that creates a lot of tension in the world, because people don't agree. They don't agree with what they see as their right perspective, and they see it as the ultimate right, when you need to open up your mind and think other people see it a little differently. Now, there are those that are completely wrong with what they say or do, completely. But there's others that just see things in a little different way and like to do things differently. But it doesn't mean that they have to do things exactly the way that you think that they should do them. That was a biggie for me, because there's people out there that are called controlling people. They're the people that believe that everybody in the world has to do exactly the way that they do it, and if they don't, they're wrong. There's a lot of that out there in the world, and yeah, people just need to realize that you are your own self. You are your own being of who you are, and not who other people expect you to be. So if you're being the authentic version of yourself and being as kind and generous and caring and loving as you can to those around you, your loved ones and the general public. A smile goes a long way, even if you don't speak the same language. Truly. You don't have to say anything to anybody. You can just smile at them. And I do when I'm going out of the grocery store, the shopping mall. Somebody walks past me. If I meet eyes with somebody, I smile at them. And I think that makes them feel good, because it's like you're acknowledging them, not in any kind of verbal way or who they are, just acknowledging them. So fear really needs to be worked on. People need to look at what it causes, the emotions that was brought up by the situation or whatever happened, or whatever trigger that got triggered, and figure out where the trigger's coming from. What is it that's causing the emotion? And figure it out. That's what shadow work. Shadow work is very deep, emotional, digging into your psyche to figure out why you felt like that. What happened in my life that made me feel like that? What did I bury deep inside that made me feel like that? And it is very important, because a lot of the emotional triggers in the world cause a lot of anger, a lot of fear, fighting, and just violence. There's so much violence in the world. There's so many people who blame other people for everything that, because their life is so terrible. Your life is what you make it. Your life is the decisions that you make. It's all of the decisions. And if you think that you've made the right decisions, fine, but don't be in fear of other people's judgment of the decisions that you've made. Live your life the way you want to live it. There are situations where you do need to decide. You need to stay with the rules, if you want to put it that way. But that's just a general moral thing. If you're living morally, you're living in love, and you are living fairly without deceit, lies, and judgment of their other people. That's a biggie. If you judge other people, you need to be aware that people are going to judge you. But what you put out is what you get back. There's so many different sayings out there that are so true, and I will put a few up, actually, that they're wonderful. And they've helped me a lot figure out why and how I can be a better person in creating the situation, because what you create is what you think is what you create, and your emotions steer a lot of your worldview of how things are around you. You cannot control the entire world's situation. So all the negative things that are going on in the world, does it directly affect you in your day-to-day life? You may have opinions on it, but if you have very strong, angry, negative emotions around a situation in the world, or even in your country or your city or whatever it is, in your family, and you refuse to release those negative emotions about the situation, you're never going to resolve anything. You're just going to continue on a hamster wheel of negativity, and just keep being a really angry person and not very happy. So in order to get happy and to enjoy your life, you really need to get rid of all the fear that's surrounding everything around your negative emotions and how you impact the world around you. It's So when you feel yourself getting emotionally triggered by a situation or a person, or something that was said, or anything that's in fear, you need to realize what it is you're feeling, why you're feeling like that. Sit with it. Think about it. Why did I do that? Why did I get triggered by that? What triggered me? What was the fear in me that triggered me? my thoughts, my negative thoughts about a situation or a person or something. What is influencing me around me, everything that's causing me to have that triggering emotional reaction? The best thing to do is to sit with it quietly. Even just close your eyes in the situation, and just before you say anything, if you feel big emotion coming in from something that was said to you, it's best to stop, think about it before you react. And it will probably break down a lot of something that you probably didn't want to say or shouldn't have said, or may have said if you had not stopped, that you might regret. A lot of emotional triggers bring up a lot of things that we say that we regret. And once the words are out, people hear them. You can't bring them back. They're remembered by people. I mean, you can say sorry, but those words are still in the minds of the people who heard them, as well as yourself knowing that you said it. So if you don't say those negative words to people, then it doesn't stay with them, because it's like if you're in your own thoughts and then you stop and think about it and think about what you could say or how I could react to this differently, or not quite as aggressively or not quite as defensively, it changes the situation, it changes the outcome, and it makes people less angry about you, at you, around you, with each other. And it just helps a lot. Like, I was extremely surprised about mindfulness. Sit with yourself, close your eyes for a second, take a breath, think about what was just said, feel how it feels, that whatever was said to you, and then react. Think about how you're going to react before you say anything. Yeah. People get caught by just saying all kinds of things and not really meaning it, like mean things, and because they were caught in emotional whirlwind and didn't know how to react, and they just were defensive because they were trying to defend their own ego and their own emotions, and it brought up all this anger from down and below. So do the shadow work, and you'll be really surprised how much stuff you have buried inside that you never even realized. Because I did. And, over the years, stuff has just built up, and some stuff is very similar to other stuff. There's a lot of stuff around the same thing that builds up inside of you, and you just bury it there and you don't think about it. Go on about your life, and then when things are said, or they trigger it. And that's when I have had these moments. I do speak from experience. I have dug out some deep emotions of triggers that I've had, and trying to work through those. It's hard. It's never easy. It's always hard. But if you don't want to do the hard work, then you don't get to reap the benefits of being a happy, positive person, and being able to react to people in the world the way that you wished that you would have reacted, and not the regrets that you may have by overreacting to situations in your life. So that's my talk for today, all about fear. Do your shadow work, be mindful, be kind, and be grateful for everything in this world. It's just such a wonderful world, and do everything with love, kindness, generosity, and helping other people. We are all humans in this world. We are no different than each other, except for the culture that we've been raised in and the thoughts that have been put in our head and our big egos. So try to get past the ego of everybody trying to tell you who you are, and figure out who you are yourself without anybody else trying to tell you that, okay? Anyway, talk to you soon. Bye, people.